Today on Locked On Rockies, a couple of minor league deals and lots of listener comments.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 16th day of January in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. And folks, I asked you to write into the show, as I do often, and you all responded. So we're going to go over lots of Rockies. Who are Rockies fans confident in? That's part of the show today. And we'll also be talking about the deals the Rockies made. Maybe some interesting names, maybe some interesting complications to some of your favorite youngsters on the Colorado Rockies. By complications, I mean more competition, because they were minor league deals. That's the key there. We're going to dive into all that and more. Before we do, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Let's start with the deals here. Let's lead from Dara McDonald here on MLB trade rumors. Rockies to sign Keyston Hera and Nick Martini to minor league deals. Infielder Herrera. I just listened to it. Hera. I'm going to watch the video again. If it plays through, that's fine. You know what? It happens. I'm going to get this right because I already have it up. Hera. And why I have this specific clip that leads, not only was it helpful because to hear his name, and I know he's been in the Brewer system for a while and such, but if they're not Rockies, I don't always pay that much attention. The clip that I'm referring to, the clip that I'm watching, is him hitting a 481-foot bomb, and it looks like they are in Salt Lake. So, hey, potential there. And this is a guy that is really definitely looking to reinvent himself, retool himself, and trying to get himself new life in his career, which unfortunately hasn't panned out. He's still pretty young at 28 years old, and really, like I said, not very many at bats at the major league level last year for him. And but interesting there when it comes to some possible power, some possible pop. He has with Milwaukee 19 home runs his rookie season there. He hit double-digit home runs a few times with them. Some interesting, possibilities there. His first season, 1.9 WAR, some interesting numbers. So there'll be something to watch there. 107 strikeouts. So that's another thing to watch for someone, a guy that looks like strikeouts have been a problem. But there's definitely parts of this profile that can be interesting and can be improved upon. 20 stolen bags in that time as well. So there's some intrigue there. It certainly looks like the Rockies are trying to add guys that can do speed, be a little more speedy and have that be part of their arsenal. I believe in Thomas Harding's most recent Rockies Beat newsletter, they talked about how the Rockies are trying to be a better team, mixed with, while they want to be a better team, the situations they've put themselves in because of their performance and the results on the field has not allowed them to be as aggressive on the base paths as they'd like. But, again, something to watch there, an interesting note there. But again, this is a guy that mostly spent his time at the minor league level. This is a guy that at the major league level looking to reinvent himself as well. Undercut by a massive strikeout problem. So, again, this is a situation here. And again, this is a minor league deal. This isn't really anything to get all that fired up about. But if you're looking at the talent and you're trying to bring someone on and you're trying to find like the diamond in the rough or help someone rehab, which this very well could be, is the team that was just as bad as the Mariners, actually technically worse than the Mariners at striking out last year and worse than everybody in striking out last year, really the team that's going to help you figure that out and fix that? That's That's like going to be the biggest thing, because it's and that's not just on here's whole thing. I mean, of course, there's a lot of Rockies that struggle with that, but that's what I mean. Until it's 3 months into the season and I see the Rockies have struck out considerably less, and I need to see it immediately. Like this, it's a problem that needs to be addressed. That was a weird way. Addressed and adjusted at the beginning of the season. Like, the spring should be all about getting yourself into those game ready at bats for taking pitches and being aggressive as needed. I like aggression at the dish when you're confident, but we know how over aggressive the Rockies have been. We know how swing happy the Rockies are. We know how many times that has cost the Rockies in situations. So my point is, I think the Rockies just need to make sure that they're if when they're working with this guy, it ain't going to be the best place to go for relief for strikeout problems. At least what we've seen so far. Maybe we'll see if that changes. Maybe the Rockies are going to be able to address that this year. But there's nothing that's giving you the idea that if a guy comes into the org with a strikeout problem, that the Rockies are going to be the team that are going to help with that strikeout problem. It just seems like you're going to strike out a lot, but maybe you'll hit more homers because you're at altitude. At this point, he has 1,084 Major League plate appearances, reading again from Dara McDonald on MLB Trade Rumors. 50 of those resulted in homers, but 390 ended with a strikeout, a 36% punch-out rate. In 2024, he was only in the majors briefly, as the Angels had him on the roster for a few weeks in July. 27 plate appearances, hitting 148 with 10 strikeouts. Also stepped to the plate 364 times at the AAA level between the Tigers and Angels system, hitting 26 home runs, but striking out 29.4% of the time. Defensively, here it came up as a second baseman, but his glove work hasn't been well regarded at that spot. Now that he might be spending time at first base. Let's see. Here's some stuff on Martini. And just I guess the photos on here or there. If he gets a roster spot, watching him hit a course could make for a good show. Yeah, could be fun. He's out of options, but has less than 4 years of service time, so that'll be an interesting thing to watch there. Martini, 35 in June, has a far less extreme profile. He has 575 career plate appearances over 5 separate seasons. His 9.6% walk rate and 21.7 strikeout rate are both slightly better than average. His 252, 336, 400 batting line leads to a 101 WRC plus, indicating he's been very slightly above average as a hitter in his career. Defensively, he's played all 3 outfield slots, though mostly in left. His glove work there has been graded just a shade below par. So there's your Jake Cave. Like right there, boom. There, like that is 110%. There is your Rockies Jake Cave. Plays all the outfield spots. He's slightly above average in some areas. He's shown you that he's got potential. He's not someone that'll strike out as much as the most vulnerable people on the Rockies when it comes to strikeouts. Congratulations. We have our Jake Cave. Nick Martini there. Is that and again, I know I say that tongue in cheek, and I know that it sounds the sarcasm is kind of oozing from me right now, but that's it. It's right up the Rockies' MO to bring in a guy like this. And again, it's a minor league deal. It's not a big. The big problem will be if he takes ample playing time away from other guys on your team, especially when in reality, Sam Hilliard, since you did, I believe, they brought him back, I believe, because he was arbitration eligible. I think he was one of the people in ARB that they got a deal done. But if you got Sam Hilliard, just let Sam Hilliard be your Jake Cave. Because then it's like, you already have that. And again, this is a minor league deal. So it's got to pan out over the spring. It's got to, and a million other things got to happen. But it sets when I see that, when I see a signing like that, it sets the table for the Rockies finding their vet that there's a great chance plays way more than they should because of an early season injury to a young guy. A freak thing happens or something like this happens. The young guy has to miss some time, and then boom, it's here. Here's Martini. That's how I see it working. So again, minor league deals, nothing that's going to move the needle in a huge way. Does it complicate things for some younger guys in the system? Yeah, certainly. But it's it's going to create a little bit more competition. It's going to make things a little bit more interesting. And again, I mean, this Hira signing, if the strikeouts can be addressed and he can just launch nukes, that'll be pretty cool. All right, that'll do it for segment number 1. So I know, like I said, it's I know that wasn't much, but it's kind of what those signings are, right? Again, I'm not focused on those guys. I'm not focused on what they're doing. At that level, like these guys, the reclamation projects right now. I'm focused on younger guys in the system and young guys that I'm hoping get time as well. But on the flip side, if these guys play their way onto the field and, are successful, what are you going to do? That's how it goes, too. All right, quick break, and then we're going to read a lot of your comments because a lot of you wrote in about the Rockies players you are most confident in and why. So we're going to do that coming up next on Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. I love going to live events. You love going to live events. Gametime's got you covered, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. All those unforgettable moments that you've had the last year. Now you get a whole nother new year to do it all over again. Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Maybe you're looking to do something spontaneous. Maybe you're looking to do something a little interesting, make date night a little bit more, eventful. Check out Gametime. You can see all the deals for yourself. You can find amazing deals and get a view from your seat before buying, so you're going to know exactly what you pay when you toggle in that all-in pricing feature. And check out those views from your seat that are with every seat offered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out our pal Sully and the Locked On MLB podcast for more things baseball. And now let's take a look at your responses. In yesterday's episode, I said, hey, here are the players that I'm confident in. What players are you confident in? And you all wrote in. Christopher says Michael Toglia will hit 35 homers and bat 280 this season coming up. Nolan Jones will bat 290 and hit 28 home runs. Bryant hits 275 and hits 20-plus homers. All right. I think this is the first person I've seen in a while in the comments section pumped up on Chris Bryant, and I need it. I need a little bit of that energy because I've been down. I try not to bring it up too much, but it's been bumming me out, and it still bums me out. If Chris Bryant hits 275 with 20 bombs this year, sign me the heck up. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. And man, I love the confidence in Michael Toglia as well. I think the home runs are going to be a huge difference maker for him. If it's 35, that's just massive. I mean, remember, I don't think the Rockies have had a 30 home run hitter. Let's see. When was the last time someone hit 30 home runs for the Rockies in a season? Let's see if I can get that on a quick Google. That's not true. The little Google AI thing just says, was 1996, but I think that's talking about the 30-30 club. Let's see here. According to a post from a year ago, because I don't believe anyone had 30 home runs, the Rockies haven't had a player hit 30 plus home runs since 2019. So, it's if it's 35, if he smashes it, awesome, because that is a record that needs to be broken for the Rockies. I am confident in Nolan Jones. Would love to see those numbers as well. I wonder if it's going to be more of a little, kind of more 270-ish. Maybe he's in the more mid-20s with home runs, but we'll see. We'll see. A healthy and hopefully confident Nolan Jones will be a total game changer here. All right, Lux Ace says, I'm most confident in Ezekiel Tovar. He has proven he can be an all-star shortstop and possibly a top 5 in the league. If Tovar can just work on his chase rate, he can be an elite shortstop. Super excited to see him play again. Yep. I mean, I hear. That's exactly what I think. The biggest thing holding back Ezekiel Tovar as an incredibly young baseball player is his chase rate. And I think that the other things are going to continue to develop and get better just as he's going through it, because it's clear he can handle the major league game. But that's how Ezekiel Tovar goes from good to great. That as much as we love the defense, as much as we're excited about stuff, and as much as and myself included put him in that great category already, that's the difference maker. Because when you're able to develop a presence at the plate where you're not chasing things and you're hitting doubles all the time and you're able to hit for power and you drive guys in and you do all these things for the offense, it's just so valuable, and it just makes you so good, and it's just such a contributor to the team. So if Tovar can produce offensively the way he did last year while also cutting down on the strikeouts, to the moon, man. I mean, to the moon. Totally to the moon. Perry here says, I'm most confident Ryan Feltner will put together the best season out of the current projected starters. Last season when he was on, he showed he had the best stuff on the staff. I like this take. I like this take a lot, because talk about a guy that when you're just going to look at the numbers, right? Or you're just going to look at the record, or there's a million things you'll look at, and it's not necessarily knock your socks off great. But on the flip side, there's some stretches and there's some moments where Ryan Feltner really was a solid anchor for the Rockies. I mean, again, he pitched 8 innings of against Miami there. Wasn't that game? Was that the game they lost? Yes, they did lose that game. I'm pretty sure. Was that the meltdown in the 9th? The one of 2 against them. There were stretches where he got into the 7th a few times, or through the 7th a few times, and moments there finishing the season with only, in his last 5 starts, he gave up 6 earned runs throughout there, only 1 home run in that time, while striking out at least 6 in 3 out of his final 5 starts. It's a guy that's got a little bit of that strikeout potential. 28 strikeouts in the month of July, 26 strikeouts in the month of June, 29 strikeouts in the month of April. Though, like you mentioned there, when the stuff is popping, when things are working, it's going to be great for Ryan Feltner. And also when you mix in with it, the fact that the Rockies just didn't back him up a lot. They didn't back up their pitchers very often at all. Gave you 162 innings last year as well. Plenty of improvement there to be had. But if he's confident, he's feeling it, and he's able to show improvement and feeling good about himself, heck yeah, Ryan Feltner could be in for a nice season. I think that there's some potential there as well. I think, and a good Feltner at the back of the rotation just makes it so much better and so much easier for Freeland and Marquez. Just a total boost, and Senza as well. I just, again, the Senza stuff is going to be something that the jury will be out until we get through a good chunk of the season. How is he locating his stuff? Is he just getting that weak contact? Are people not tagging him for homers? Same if Gomber's a starter. I think that's that very similar case there. Let's see. Jim says, I know the top players that you've mentioned before, Tovar, Doyle, Tolia, and a handful of others. It is hard to know for sure who'll have a breakout this next season. Who will show us some good stuff? Who will blow us away? I don't have a crystal ball, so it is all about waiting to see how things shape up during spring training and the regular season. I hope and pray that we will see some good improvement this year. If the front office was completely honest with us, at least we'd feel better about supporting the team. It's like you say, Paul, it's hard to feel good about this team when you hear the same old line from the ownership and the front office. As much as I like Bud Black, he just seems to toe the team line. But I suppose he does not want to bite from the hand that feeds him. That's an interesting. I mean, it's being buddies with Dick Monfort has its perks if you're within the Rockies system. That is absolutely true. But yeah, we can only this is, it's baseball conjecture in the middle of January. We can only wait and see, as there's still a lot of room that needs to be proven by these guys. All right, a few more comments to wind down the show. Like I said, we got a lot of them, so we're going to wind down the show with a few more comments, including an interesting question that's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, especially if you've been listening this far into the show. So shout outs to you. Locked On MLB should be your second listen of the day if you need more baseball talk. And of course, if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs, all on the network, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. All right. A few more questions, or I should say comments here on who Rockies fans are confident in. Let's see here. RMK says Michael Toglia definitely has the coolest baseball savant page. An 861 expected OPS in 2024 makes me feel excited for his future. There's a lot of that stuff. I mean, I saw some people comparing him to Giancarlo Stanton online. There are some interesting spots there where the profile is really good, and it's when he hits the ball, he hits the hell out of the ball, and that's just a good. That's such a good thing. So, all right. Finn says, what's really angering is how the Rockies keep talking about this youth movement, how all these changes are going to be made to take the step forward. And then every day I'll look and see what moves the Rockies are made. We don't make trades to trade away some of our old guys that are losing their stuff and might want to go to a winning team to finish up their career. We signed the Jake Caves, and sometimes the idea has gone through my mind that do they want the youth movement, or are they just looking for another Chuck Nasty, or just another excuse to say that all the old players must play before the young guys? They have more experience in that. They need to show the young guys something, but that limits what the young guys can do. Because if there isn't some way to excuse not playing the young guys, it's to say the old guys have more experience and to be out there more. So the Rockies want a star, and they are seeing a couple, and they were confident that Ezequiel Tovar could be one. That's why Ezequiel Tovar was given the keys. It is so early. I think, again, the one thing the Rockies can say is they have nailed it on shortstops. Trevor Story has been injured, yes, at this stage of his career, but when healthy and when playing the majority of the time, which he did for the Rockies until the end of his career, a couple of exceptions there as well. Actually, Trevor Story was kind of dealing with injuries more frequently. Maybe I'm not remembering it completely as well, but that's why they were confident to go there. And so they brought Chris Bryant in thinking he was going to be the star, and it hasn't panned out. So yes, I do think that this team is really bummed that they don't have a Charlie Blackmon this year, but I don't necessarily think it's their main goal, because I think if they were to do that, they're going to highlight the guys that they have in the system, the Tovar and the Doyles, but they are also while they don't get free agents, they don't make trades. Like, they could go grab one if they really, really wanted the star. You know what I mean? If that was if the star power was the main driving force, the Rockies have shown that they'll go and spend some money, do some stuff. They haven't shown it lately, of course, but in the past that they have, the most recent example being Chris Bryant. So, thank you for that there. And let's take this last question here from Moon Unit. I'm most confident in Paul Holden. I know when I leave a comment, he sees it 100% of the time. Here's something. Who are your top picks for Rockies who could hit 40-40 in the coming years? How far away is anyone on the team from the milestone, in your opinion? Light years. If I'm being really honest here. Again, we just talked earlier that Reddit post of Nolan Arenado, the last person to hit 40 home runs for the Rockies. I couldn't even fathom Nolan Arenado stealing 40 bases while doing that. The home runs are just such a thing. I think the Rockies have some 30-30 candidates. I think that's much more likely. I would be blown away if a Rockies player, I mean, dude, in my eyes, like 40-40 is like you're flirting MVP. Like, that's an insane season. And I know that there's people stealing bags like wild, but say it's Brenton Doyle, right? Let's put Brenton Doyle in this hypothetical situation because, he was 2020 last year. So if you put Brenton Doyle in that situation, he's doing that great on offense. He's playing Gold Glove caliber defense. Like that's like, I mean, all-star is bottom of the barrel. Like when I think of that's like tops in the league good type of a season. So if I'm being really honest, it could maybe be Doyle. It could be maybe Tovar. I can't get to buying into a lot of these guys being 40-40 potentials until they get to 2020 or 30-30. The Rockies, especially with the roster that they have, kind of in a very much a crawl before you walk, before you run type of situation and type of pace right now. So I would say right off the rip, yeah, Tovar and Doyle would be it. Doyle being the most likely one, just because it's not just the home runs, it's the bags too. I mean, let's see here. Rockies stolen bases 2024. Let's take a look here. Brenton Doyle did steal 30 bags. He hit 23 home runs. So when you look at the roster, it's really only him. I mean, it's 30 stolen bases, and then the next is Michael Toglia, who, there's your power and there's your stealing bags. But then it's only like 7 stolen bases from Jordan Beck, 6 from Charlie Blackmon. Ezekiel Tovar only had 6. J.K. 5. Nolan Jones, not that many. Mostly because of his the issues with the injuries and such. So I think he would have been more aggressive on the base path had he been on the field more. But 40-40. I just the answer would be, the only one I can think of would be Brenton Doyle. But I'm sitting here just wanting Brenton Doyle to recreate last year again. Like that's what I'm looking at. And again, I don't know how often I can sit here, and I don't know it throughout his career, maybe unless he proves us wrong by making it the norm next year, is that power, is that pop that Brenton Doyle had last year, is that the norm? Is that what we're going to see on the usual in the future, and as Brenton Doyle continues throughout his career? So not a great answer, I know, but when you look at it, the Rockies don't have a lot of base stealers, and I even forgot that how little base stealing that they did. I thought the Rockies had a couple more 2020 guys in doing that stuff, but no, I think I was thinking of the year prior there with Doyle and Jones in the season prior. So the Rockies as a whole need to be better at stealing bases and getting up there. So I don't know. I don't know the next one, and how far away are they? Kind of far, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys that would have to double their output from last year and more, and triple it, in some cases. I just don't think that's going to happen. I do think the Rockies can take steps forward this season, but how big are these steps? How big is the development? How many big moments do these guys come up with? It's still up in the air. It's still wait and see. So anyway, thanks, folks. You had a lot of comments there. Great way to wrap up the week here on Locked On Rockies. We will be back in action on Tuesday next week, as we're still in our off-season programming here for a little bit longer throughout. It's slow times, but that's all right. Plenty of Locked On Rockies content for you to enjoy on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. And for your second listen of the day, go check out Sully and Locked On MLB. If you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.